This is the Extra Point Podcast. During this podcast, we will dive deeper into our Sunday teaching and share practical next steps for your faith journey. Now, let's kick off the Extra Point.
Hello and welcome to the Extra Point Podcast. My name's Anna. I'm the youth pastor here at Southridge Church. Joining us is Cheryl, our Next Steps and Discipleship pastor, and we are reviewing week 1 of the Headlock series. What has got a hold of you? And so as we jumped into this series this past Sunday, Scott shared around the topic that tends to be quite sensitive, a topic that he took like 20 minutes to introduce on the front end.
Yes.
Because there is so many feelings and emotions that get wrapped up in this. And if you joined us, you already know the topic subject. It was money. So Cheryl, just kind of get us, start to paint the picture for us. What about this teaching? What about the hold that money can have on us? Where should we dive in today?
Yeah. So one of the things, he preached from Matthew chapter 19, something that it's titled the parable of the rich young ruler or whatever. It's about this man who comes to Jesus with this question where he's been doing following the commandments. He's been living right. He's got a lot of things, but he still is not content in some way. And he asked Jesus, I've done all these things. What must I do to have eternal life?
Yeah.
And so he feels like there's a tension, there's something not right between him and God. But really what Pastor Scott said in the beginning is that it's not, it's not so much an issue about money, but it's a discipleship issue. There's this aspect, the tagline of the series is what has a hold on you. And he talked about how it's not what you have a hold of. It's not those things that you have, but what's actually holding you, and
what
holding
has
your
you,
heart hostage in a way that there's some discontent or there's something that's not quite right between you and God. And so it's a touchy subject because a lot of people, just have distrust. We've seen a lot of bad things, heard a lot of bad things. Money's a very personal side of things.
Right.
People don't like to talk about money and how much they have and those types of things. But we know that Jesus talked a lot about money.
Yeah.
We know that there's discipleship aspects in this that are important for our faith journey. And we know that, materialism can be damaging. And so,
For sure.
So he kind of gave those counterpoints of, why it's hard for us, but why it's needed. And I hope that kind of opened up people's hearts and minds to hear. And maybe you were left wanting a little more or trying to figure out how that really fits. Hopefully we can do that. And talk about some of that today. Yeah.
As I know that I have feelings around money. My husband and I in 2018, we went through the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University, and we found out we were two very different money-minded people, but through that we found a way to kind of meet in the middle and have healthier conversations around it, ones that didn't land us in tears or yelling or locking accounts and setting up passwords and doing just absolute crazy behavior. And I hope that somebody resonates with that and I don't feel such on an island, but that's just the way that money was kind of being handled. And once we kind of got on the same page and understood, had a vision for what money actually is, more as a resource and a tool and not a part of our identity.
Right.
I know for me, when it came to feelings of money, it was something that I had earned. So it did feel like it was me.
Right.
It was me. My money was me and it was my choices. I could do whatever I wanted because I worked hard for that.
Yeah.
And to then go ahead and learn that, well, I wouldn't be able to do anything if it wasn't for God giving me the ability to do anything, and start to just switch the mindset. But that did not happen overnight, and it took time. When it comes to money, are there feelings that you've experienced, something that like maybe based on, you know, things that have happened in the past or even current situations?
I mean, so I grew up not having much at all. I mean, we were the people, like, we had food stamps when it was back in the little books, and you got to tear them out like Monopoly money, almost looking the stuff. Like, it was colored and coded and all that. And like, we would get a little allowance to spend at the store. And so like, we grew up in that mindset where like, if we wanted something, my brothers and I would do this thing where we'd go through, like, candy was really cheap at the time, so you could get like a pack of gum for 5 cents. Well, they didn't have change in food stamps, so you'd get real change back. So we would go through the aisle like 5 times, get all the change, and go over to McDonald's for, you know, because we never got to eat out. And so like, we grew up with this. That's how I lived growing up. Like, eating out was a privilege, like those kind of things. And so a lot of times when people grow up that way, they'll maybe have a scarcity mindset and like not want to spend or not want to whatever. I think that, like, for me, I almost went the flip opposite, where it's like, now that I have money, it's like, let's do everything.
Permission,
like, let's go
almost,
eat all the time, out all the time. Like, this is awesome. And so I have to fight against that at times, though, because I'm like, that's not really the wise thing to do. But then there are those moments where I might feel myself getting like really anxious. Like, I don't want to end up back there, or I want my kids to have something better than what I had. And I try, but I also don't want them to, you know, my kids are very blessed in what they have. Like, they have way more than what we had, and we're able to like go to a store and buy them a toy or buy them a snack or whatever, and not have to stress about it. And I don't want them to end up like entitled, spoiled little kids in the long term either. And so there are times where I'm like catching myself wanting to be like, you know what, you have it really good. You don't understand. Like, I didn't get this stuff when I was your age. Like, you know, and I want to like just cram that down their throat. So then I'm like, this isn't teaching them good things around money either. And so we've had to like really go back to the table, similar to like what you guys probably went through with FPU. Like, my husband and I both looking at it and going, okay, how do we teach our kids wise things about money, and in such a way that they have a healthy relationship with it, to where they're not swinging one way or the other, but they understand that, you know, this is something good. And it is a resource, but like any resource, we have to use it wisely. Or it does run out. Or it can cause stress. And so that's kind of where some of my feelings and my things go to. But I think I heard recently like about how it was just a little reel that said, you don't have a junk drawer problem, you have a spending problem.
Oh, rude. Like, oh my gosh.
I know. I had some defensive feelings when I heard that right there. Because I was like, do I need all these different seasonal pillowcases? Covers?
Right. And then, you know, a junk drawer for every room. Not just, that's at least our situation. It's not even just a singular. It's going, what are we doing with this stuff? Well, actually, like, if it's okay, like it makes me think of the next thing that I'd like to discuss, which is materialism. Like, this idea that materialism, especially if you're listening and you were born in the United States of America, like, if this is your homeland, this is the way you grew up in, the culture that exists here, at least for most of our lifespans, materialism is it has trained you. You've grown up believing that, like, you probably need that thing to survive. You need, and not just that thing, you need that thing in that brand, and it needs to be at that price point. You probably need to get it from that store, or whatever the thing. And so when it comes to materialism, where have you seen this reality that it trains us? Where have you seen that, either in your own life or in the lives of someone that you know or love?
Yeah. I think obviously brand name stuff is like a big thing that I see a lot. I can't say that like I struggle with this personally. And that's probably partly from my past, is I'm like, yo, regular shoes work just like Walmart shoes work. Yeah. I mean, Walmart has Reebok now, and that was like a big thing back then. So anyway, but brand names are a big thing. And like my kids aren't quite there yet. Like they're still young to where like they don't necessarily care about that stuff. So I'm able to get like Garanimals. Cheapo stuff from Walmart, like got the clearance stuff from Winter the other day, like but so I'm able to kind of capitalize on that right now. But I do see, especially once they hit, like you work with students, once they hit middle school, I mean, it's all about,
they start to think about those things,
the brand, because it's the way that people view you more than you wanting it. Like, you know what I mean? You want to be viewed a certain way. You want to seem as though you have this certain level of success or, financial stability. Or those kind of things. And so like you see it in students, you see it. I mean, we have a lot of shoe people here at our church, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I think that, we often, like, even as pastors, we see like big time pastors, and they got some good shoe game going on. They've got like
nice cars,
the nice outfits, and you
things.
rarely see them. Like they're preaching every Sunday, and you rarely see them in the same outfit, know? And so there's that. And then I obviously houses, cars are always a thing, because we feel as though like you don't see that many people driving around old beater cars, especially successful people or people who have a career. You know, you're not necessarily seeing them pulling up to their parking spot in a really old rundown car that still runs. Like, I think, we were talking earlier about education and just the way, I mean, and Dave Ramsey will tell you, like, he tells you, we've mentioned this a couple of times, so I just want to throw it out there. If you're looking for a real practical next steps, we do offer Financial Peace University.
Yes.
It'll be starting at the end of the month. So if you're interested, go to src.life, sign up. But Dave Ramsey talks about, like, going to a community college, working your way through school so you can come out without debt and those kind of things. But, like, we feel as though often that degree at that community college isn't as good as this other one.
It's essentially the name brand college. It's the one that they've got their stuff in the stores, and celebrities are wearing it, and whatever, and they're not wearing the community college gear, and you go, well, I probably need to go to that better school. I know that we felt that pressure, even in subtle ways. Again, like what you just said, like sometimes the stuff isn't bad. It's good stuff. And we'll get into that in just a second. But like when we were house hunting, based on our income, the bank, the realtor, different people were like, hey, you guys are able to do this kind of house. Like you're able to make this happen. And I can remember feeling like, oh, then is that what we should do?
Right.
Like, well, if that's what we could do, is it what we should do? And it was way beyond our means. It's just the two of us. Like, it's just me and my husband. And, I mean, we host people, and we have people stay with us off and on different times. And so we know we wanted to create enough space for that. But outside of that, we were just like, this is just too much. Yeah. And it was really, like, adult peer pressure to say no to that, to say, no, we're okay with these other lesser options. Yeah. But what it did is it made margin for us to be more generous and to feel less stressed, because I will tell you, the bigger the house you get, friends, the more you're taking care of it. Yeah. You have less free time, because you're taking care of additional space, square footage. Yeah. It doesn't take care of itself. And those are things that, we feel grateful that God gave us the wisdom to, at that time, to say, no, we're okay pulling back on that. And now I will, like, when it comes to this stuff, I had joked earlier that, we had a coffee pot that moved with us. It was an old coffee pot, maybe $20 from Kroger.
Yeah.
And with some of that margin, I was like, yeah, we're getting a better coffee pot. Yeah. We're getting the name brand. We're getting the frother. We're getting all the things. Yeah. And like, it's one of those moments where you go, when we do allow for like wisdom to help us make money decisions, there are sometimes little silver linings. Yeah. Like, and sure, it's just a coffee pot and our world doesn't revolve around it. But I do fear that if we were to do that type of mindset of like, oh, we can do this, so we should, with everything in our life, we would land ourselves in a less free position, just like this young man found himself when he talked to Jesus. Right. Like, where you go, the stuff I have now kind of has a hold of me. And I think that that's where, like, there can be signs of that happening in our life. Some subtle signs that I want to share with you guys, like things like time, attention, identity, just the fear of losing that thing or those things. When it comes to subtle signs that show that something good might be gaining too much influence in our hearts, what are some of those things that you've experienced, the subtle signs?
Yeah. So for me, one of those things... And so I have 3 young kids, they go through the clothes, as do we. But I think for me, like one of those subtle signs is like when the laundry stays piled up and they still have plenty of clothes in their room. Yeah. And I am literally drowning in laundry. That might be a little bit of a sign that like we have too many clothes. Yeah. This is something that I think God has been really working in me over the past several years, where I purge pretty regularly, probably once a quarter. I purge some things. Like I'm like, I don't know, I'm somewhat like burdened by the amount of storage units we have. Yeah. Yeah. Like just in our area, just driving down the main road, like at the bottom of the hill, there's some like, and I know that there are needs for that, like, but I think it's probably way more rare of that need. Like when we moved to the townhouse that we're in, the guy who used to live there had to have one because he was going on deployment. He was a single guy. He's not going to sell his furniture and rebuy furniture every time. Those are cases that like, that's great. But like, I remember as a teenager, my dad and my stepmom had a storage unit that was just full of stuff. Yeah. Like furniture. I don't even know. Like it was wild, and how devastated they were when like it flooded. But I'm like, yo, we've been paying for it to just sit here for over a year. Like obviously it didn't mean that much. Like it's one of those things that I'm like, oh my gosh, like why? And then this past course of leadership focus, it had a lot to do with like stewardship and generosity and finances and that type of stuff. And one of the things that they talked about was a spiritual practice of simplicity and how freeing that is. And so it's one of those things that I'm like, I have so much, time and stress trying to keep up with laundry when like if I just simplified that, like they don't need all these different outfits. Like, let's pick some faves. Let's maybe, 2 weeks worth is way more than enough. Like, but also like when it talks about stewardship, it's not just about, giving and that kind of, it's about taking care of what you have.
What you already have. Yeah.
So that way you don't have to go out and buy the new thing all the time. Like, are you doing the maintenance on your vehicle to where you're not having to go get a new vehicle every few years? Like, are you, if there are things like that, like your vehicle should last you a pretty good long while. Like, unless you get in a wreck and it's totaled, right? It should last
that's too soon for me. That is exactly what happened to me. It's okay, Cheryl. It's okay. It's fine.
You were ready to just run that.
I know. I had that car for 12 years.
And it wrecked. Those are those circumstances that like, okay, this happened. We have to deal with it. Yeah. But like, you took care of that vehicle for years and years and years. You would have been able to keep it for many more years.
That was the goal. That was the goal. Yeah.
And so, there's these subtle things that like, if I'm having to go out and get a new vehicle every few years, I'm not doing something quite right in the way that I should. If I am feeling stressed because the amount of housework that I have, maybe we jumped the gun and got too big of a house for us. Like, I'm constantly thinking of, because we do just live in a townhouse, and when we do ever get the go ahead to buy a house, like, I'm constantly thinking of, like, it's hard to keep up with 3 bathrooms now. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not taking care of it now, like, do I even, you know, should I even look at something as big or bigger? Like, but I think that there are often those things, like, when our identity is wrapped up in it. And it's like, well, I have to have this vehicle because I have to look this certain way, or I have to have these clothes because I have to, you know, I don't want to wear the same outfit twice to these meetings that I go to every week. Like, which, you know, growing up in the way that I did, like, we had to be a little resourceful when we went shopping for back to school stuff. Like, you got a lot of different shirts, a couple pants, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you mix and matched all that stuff. Like, you had to do that. And there, like, and so there are ways to still have variety without falling into that materialistic area where you are so far in it that it's killing your finances, that it's killing your ability, like, to have time to just relax and not have to do laundry every stinking day. Like,
and like this young ruler that meets Jesus, it's killing your fulfillment in life. It's killing your peace. It's destroying these things that should be freeing, and it's keeping us in bondage. And that's not what God has for us. It is not what Jesus wants for you. It's not what he wants for me. It's not what he wants for anyone. He wants us to experience true freedom. And I'm looking forward to continuing to talk about things that tend to have a chokehold on us. Like money.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I think that, you know, one of the things that he said a couple times that I just want to reiterate is that, like, it's not saying that you should take a vow of poverty, right? Like, you can have nice things, like, you can have a nice house, and all of that. But I think, like, if we are just regularly reflecting on where our heart is, why, like, asking those questions, like, well, why do I want to buy a new car? Do I actually need it? Like, is it actually going to be helpful, or am I wanting to do this because of some other reason? Like, I think if we can just reflect a little bit more before those, like, actually doing the thing or buying the thing, or I think that we'll probably maybe see some of those parts of our hearts revealed that need a little more discipling or attention, surrender, those kind of things.
No, thank you for sharing that, because I think that's spot on. It's spot on to this teaching. And if you haven't listened, if you're listening to this now and you haven't listened to the Sunday's teaching, please go back and find it. Listen to week 1 of Headlock, where we talk about how money might just have a hold of you. And so we'll continue this series this coming weekend, and we'll be back to take a deeper dive. If you have inquiries, more questions, or thoughts, you can always visit us at src.life and send some of those things in. We'd be happy to help disciple you in this as we are growing and learning all the time as well. Make sure you share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Extra Point. Be sure to subscribe to the Southridge Church podcast and tune in every Wednesday for another episode of The Extra Point.